found a really neat boat. To be frank, she needs some tender love and care. I think this is a real bargain for the hunter out there. Is that poison ivy or marijuana? What is it?
Smoke it and find out.
Hi there, this is Captain Q. Join us as we travel hither and yon to show you some great deals on some really interesting boats and maybe learn just a little bit with each one. Hey Randy!
Captain!
Where are you, buddy?
I know you're hiding here somewhere.
I am. I'm up here. I'm elevated today.
Oh, wow.
I thought I'd go to greater heights today to find a boat in the woods again. I don't know if you noticed that Sea Dog has a little progeny with her today.
Yeah.
That's actually her cousin.
Oh, really?
It's her cousin. It's not her because she has not been pregnant. I'm not certain, but I don't think that little progeny has a name. So we should ask our viewers if they might have a name for it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the viewers should give our little cousin a name here.
I think so, because it's a killer cute dog, and I think it came from the same kennel, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
What kennel was that?
The black dog out in the vineyard.
Enough about dogs. I want to talk about boats. And we're looking today at a 44-foot Gulfstar sloop with a center cockpit. This particular boat was built in 1982, so she's just under 40 years old. Now, the thing that makes this boat kind of significant and new for us is that I know we've talked about the Lazara family. Vince Lazara was born in Chicago. He made various components for boats, little pieces, bits and that. He kind of caught the bug and went out to California. He mentioned working with somebody else out there on a 40-foot boat, believed to be one of the first fiberglass boats. After he fiddled around with that a little bit, he got in bed with a couple of other guys and they started Columbia Yacht. One of their opening yachts was a boat called a Columbia 50, which was absolutely drop-dead gorgeous.
Also a boat we raced a couple times.
Boat, yes. Absolutely right. Yes, we did. We raced a lovely Columbia 50.
Yep, the Panerai Classic.
For how many years we do that? About 5 years?
At least 4.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. Yep. It was great. Lovely, fun boat to sail. Needed some sails, but other than that. Sorry, Phil. And at some point, he decided that he was going to leave Columbia. And he started building houseboats. And he had to do this for a while, from about 1967 to 1970, at which point he started Gulfstar boats. And he thought, I got a great idea. Let's build one hull and make it a motorboat. But if somebody wants a sailboat, we'll just stick a mast in it. So he ended up building some of the more homely boats that have ever been built. They were not much of a sailing boat, more of a motor sailor variety. The construction of those boats, too, was a little slapdash. The method of applying resin and so forth, they often used chopper guns, caused blisters galore on the boats. They were a real issue. So around 1975, his son, Richard, said to him, say, Pop, the people out there, our surveys are telling us the people want a really good boat. So one of the first boats they came up with was the Gulfstar 44. This boat, built for cruising, was a really dynamite race boat. Really? Under PHRF cruising canvas. Right now, I have my hand on a really incredible paint job. This is a Micron 66 ablative paint. Now, this boat has been on the hard since 2013. Is this ablating paint better than your usual ablating paint? It's supposed to be. It's called Micron 66. She's a little deep forward here. We like this. I don't know where the Lazaras got their designs, but they picked up on aspects that give it just a nice, good ride and a good sleigh ride. A little history on this particular boat. She was banged up by Hurricane Bob. Oh, yeah. Yeah, PB survived that nicely off the float in Portland Harbor. Did you stay on top of the boat? Were you on the boat? I was on the boat. I was actually on the boat. I was on the boat eating, this is truth, Dinty Moore. So anyway, this boat didn't have quite the same luck, and she had a big dent on the port side of the hull. That impacted the hull to a degree that the boat was considered an insurance claim situation, and the present owner bought the boat then and then had that repaired. So it's as good as new, if not better. Now, along with doing all that, he's added a biaxial fiberglass cloth on here to smooth over the whole bottom, and then painted that, and that's coated with epoxy resin on that. So got a really smooth bottom. And remember I mentioned bubbles on the earlier boats? no more bubbles on here. This guy likes to go fast. From about here aft, it's all been fared down to a nice fine line. You see that?
Yep. So the taper is not original. It's a...
Nope, not at all. And it's actually given the boat a little more lateral stability. One of the problems, and we discussed this with Calypso, you remember Calypso? The Gulfstar 50.
Yep.
Had a skeg issue.
Oh yeah.
And he took great pains to reinforce that and make it a better piece. Actually, this one popped off on the original skeg. So they've rebuilt the skeg. This has all got a stainless steel core to it now, and it's probably foam lined as well. And it's bolted down from the top, so this can be just unbolted, taken apart, and so forth. And it provides a good support down here on this gudgeon for the rudder. Notice how smooth this is?
Yeah.
He really likes to go fast. And this is actually just a little fiberglass flap. When you turn the wheel, that's going to fare right onto the new turn of the rudder. There's a new cutlass bearing in here, and this thing is rock solid. It has a gory prop on it. These will open up and they will drive the boat. If you increase the RPM, maybe to our 1700, like somebody else's boat I know, these blades actually go forward. They're still digging into the water, but they become far more efficient, and you get much better gas mileage out of the boat. Nice heavy-duty V strut here. Now this is just, if somebody says, where did the boat hit and so forth, I think it's right about in this area, right in here. This had been pushed in so you could actually depress the hull. And they went inside and they scarfed out all the inner glass work in there. Then they built up the inner glass work. Then they came out here and cut out all the outside skin here. Then they glassed that over with all fresh glass. So now it's solid as the rest of the hull. This rudder now, the appearance of it in the profile is almost identical to that of the Stevens 47, and with the separate rudder with the skeg, this is almost like a Sparkman Stevens design here. She's got full bilges down here. These are not slack, and lots of room for tankage, water again. Not the same flat buttocks we've seen on other boats. That sitting there, she will not get the perpetual slap of water. Here is a fathometer, okay, the depth sounder. And look what he's done here. See how he's fared the whole thing around there?
Yep.
So water's going to come along and go ooh, right over that. This is an exhaust for a head in the forward compartment, and the water intake for that. And then right here, what do you think that is?
Oh, it's your little speedometer.
Yes, it actually spins. You don't see these spin on most of these boats. That will bring water off the deck out here instead of just running off the side of the hull. See, if you notice this hull, for the most part, there's no real streaking on it. It looks like the original gel coat for the most part, and I would say that it's a little dull, but with some good energy and waxing, you can live with this for a long time. The boot top looks fresh. All right, let's get topside here.
All right, let's go.
Brandy,
Yeah.
come on up here. There's a couple of lockers back here that we want to take a look at.
So seeing something that's nice and handy here.
Yes, that's the on-deck shower. Holy smokes.
It's even got steps. Can't remember seeing that we've seen a lazarette with steps in it.
This is a first. This is an enlarged locker space, actually. Can you see that around there a little bit?
Yep.
Okay, that can now take two 20-pound tanks, and it was much smaller originally. Here's a giant solar panel, and this thing's got, I think it's got about 270 watts to it. And there are two supports for it off the stern of this boat.
Okay.
Which also has a wind vane on it for generating electricity. And then on the other side, you'll see a radar unit and its support. So he's got plenty of extra juice. Just check out this seating here. This is pretty comfortable. You know, this reminds me of the Pearson 385.
I was going to say the same thing.
With a little L-shaped piece here because the companionway is slightly offset, so they've got a place to put a hatch. That hatch will give you fresh air down in the galley, but when you open up that hatch, the radar unit comes up out of that, and the helmsman can see the radar unit.
Oh, clever.
Right through there, very clever. It can also be left in the down position, and the navigator on the starboard side can look over and see it. We have a Yacht Specialties wheel and pedestal system. Oh boy, there's a dusty, but still functioning Danforth compass.
No bubbles.
So there's a little binnacle cover for it. Nice size. And he's got wind instruments here. I see one other thing I see while I'm standing in here. 1, 2, 3, 4 large cockpit drains.
What do we call those?
Scuppers. Remember I showed you that through hull down below here? There's where the water will collect and vacate through that hole that we saw below. Here's the engine kill pull switch below, and over on the other side there's a nice fresh set of gauges down here that can be read pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of these little guys here, right?
Yep. Does it have its own scupper?
No, the drains around here are going to come right out and just come out and drain down into the cockpit sole. We have the good old style galley pass-through window. Sometimes we see quarter berths under there, but not the case here. Right here we could have a little porthole to the aft head.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you have a choice there. The owners also increased the size. He's very proud of this, of the table here in the cockpit, and it's been nicely finished. So look at that. That's
pretty.
Yeah, we can open that whole thing right up. It's pretty big size. Isn't that nice? There's going to be a full Dodger that goes around here. He also has a full enclosure for it. His Dodger mounts up on the frame there, okay, just forward of that piece of teak behind Sea Dog, and it's going to come back to about here. So the helmsman is going to be almost totally covered by the Dodger. We've got two big variant self-tailing winches.
Is it just for the jib?
Yeah, just for the jib. Easy cleats to come off extra lines here. Look at the size of the track. This is pretty massive. That's a good 1.25 inches at least. Here's the Genoa car right here, and that leads back to the turning block aft. And he's put extra duty heavy plates on the top of that, you see?
Yep.
It's a very substantial base for the turning block, but apparently the top of that was a little lackluster. So he's put a heavy duty stainless plate on that. Now we have a nice midships cleat here for your spring lines, right where we like it. It's the original spar.
And what are these stalactites?
That's going to be keeping birds off of your...
Oh, that's the top?
That's the top, yep. Look at the long track there. You know what that track is for?
Oh, that's for your spinnaker pole.
Spinnaker pole track.
Oh, yeah.
Again, we don't see these on boats too often anymore. Why not? Because everybody's using a Code A spinnaker Genoa blooper looking thing. Here's a spinnaker pole right here, by the way. This guy.
It's a big boy.
It's a good beefy pole. It's aluminum. We have some nice stainless anchor chain, and that's all you really need. You need about, I don't know what that is, maybe 15, 20 feet of chain, and then your nylon rod hooked up to that. The chain's going to help keep the shank of the anchor buried, and then the nylon's going to keep the boat comfortable on that chain. It's not going to be jerking you around. It'll stretch, release, stretch and release.
Like a little shock absorber?
Exactly, yep. He's got a CQR up and a single roller forward. There's actually an extra staysail eye up here, so you can set a staysail for storm jibs and that sort of thing. All right, what do you say we go below?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Randy!
Yeah!
Come on down.
All right.
You realize that this is just the sort of the little sister to the Gulfstar 50, right? So she's just 6 feet shorter. So if you take 6 feet out of this boat, you just lose a little cabin back here. The berth I'm sitting on, this moves out, like so many of them do, and becomes a big double. The table is all akimbo right now because the mast goes right through the table and down, and it sits down in the bilge right down below me here. A couple big berths here. They didn't put a lot of storage areas behind these berths. And this is just a skin over the hull as a covering. Not particularly decorative, but it'd be a nice place to have paintings. But you can also grab your friendly carpenter and in no time put up great library storage. But this is pretty enormous, don't you think?
Yeah. It reminds me very much like the 380, the Pearson 385, but just a little bit wider.
a little wider and a little more deluxe because we've got all this teak in here. And it's all quite shiny teak because the owner has coated it with an epoxy resin sort of thing, which is just so that once he does it, it's there forever. One of the nicer features on this boat, we have a step-down galley. Notice how I step down? I'm now shorter than I was.
Oh, yeah.
First thing I noticed right off the bat is I have our little port light we talked about that's the pass-through for sandwiches from the galley. And this I like. Again, it's a little PB-ish because you're really wedged in here. You don't need extra braces. There's a brace here to keep you from falling into a gimbal's hot stove. We've got lots of good storage here at eye level. And one thing I do like about this, although it's not very deep, is that it's not very deep. So you just put a few things in there and you don't lose things behind it. Again, not very deep, but plenty of storage here and there. And we have under sink storage here, a double sink almost on center line and pretty deep. We've got the extra foot pump here for your fresh water to save preserve. This little port, you would put a garbage bag under there and you just drop your garbage right in there. And there's a really nice big icebox / refrigerator. That's the dry.
Because it's been on the hard for 7 years?
It's so dry. It's very dry, exactly. So let me show you this little thing here. This is kind of funky. This is a gizmo that takes the radar screen sits on that. And if you want to show it to the nav station across the way, you turn it sideways. And then if you want it to go up to the cockpit, this whole thing goes up like a little elevator and goes up through this hatch. And the helmsman out here can see the radar. This is very nice. Here are the washboards, all three of them, all stacked up very nicely in 3 separate canvas partitions in there. And that would be a great way to keep the boards on any boat handy and to keep the varnish bright. I don't know if that has AIS. I don't think it does.
Yeah, what is AIS?
That's the Automatic Information System, which allows other boats to identify your boat and your location on their screen. And he'll know your call sign, and he'll be able to call you and say, I'm a big boat coming along here, you better move. So nice big storage table, look at that.
Oh,
and
wow.
Little simple things like this where there's a little latch to hold it up. This guy gets extra points in his rating for having this tidy a table. So nice size. The chart book will fit on here with no problem, plus a big NOAA chart will fold up and be good. Place here for a little library. Some of the details missing in the boat are things like extra fiddles to keep things up on shelves and so forth. As the navigator goes along and he sharpens his pencils and he makes little pencil shavings, he can dump them right in the wastebasket right there. Also on the same bulkhead, you'll see the circuit panel, which is all really nicely laid out. Gulfstar does a nice job with their circuit panels. Certainly very convenient to the helmsman and away from the hatch so it will stay dry. We come in here and take a look at this. Perkins sitting here. I always tell the Perkins because they're blue usually.
Yeah.
And there some instrumentation. I don't know what that all is. There's battery switches up on that panel there, and there's a couple.
That's a solar charge controller. Yeah.
That may well be what it is. Now listen, down here in front of that, there's a big empty. There's a void. And if somebody really wanted to, they could put a nice little Kohler or whatever generator in there. Yeah,
do they make a small enough one to fit in there?
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's a much bigger space than you realize. And they are smaller engines, much smaller than the main engine. And it would go probably sideways to this engine. Now, see this extra space here? You can even find...
It's a CQ hole.
You can find the captain here. And he'll show you where the secondary fuel filters are. And you can get to the transmission and raw water heat exchanger back here.
I see the Raycor primary fuel filter.
There is a Raycor primary fuel filter, right.
Yeah, and then a raw water strainer here.
Is that right in front of you there?
Yep.
Well, it doesn't get any easier, does it?
No, I'm pretty accessible.
Those are the major things you want to be looking at from time to time. And quite often, sometimes even before you go out every day. So, we got a nice companionway here. And if you notice, I can stand up right here and I can look out this porthole. But this is the seat. So they give up a little bit of the seat, but they were clever to leave this head walkway so you don't have to feel like you're all bent over. Now this is a gem.
Yeah.
Look at that storage. And if you think that's good, look at this storage. And oh my gosh, what do we have here? We have hanging locker. Now I see here a halon pull switch for fire extinguisher.
Okay.
So we have to find out if the tank is on board and if that's charged up. Just pull that and you'll flood the engine room with.
I don't think we've seen that before, or at least not as obvious.
Not that switch, no.
Yeah.
I think they now do it automatically.
Okay.
Yeah, come on in. Come on in. This is one of the bigger aft cabins on a boat in the 40-foot range we've seen. Oh boy, almost 6-inch cushions there. What I like about it is that Gulfstar makes 2 symmetrical berths here. And they're huge. I mean, these are very large. But you can also, like many boats, and no big surprise here, put a big filler in here. Look at the drawer storage under here. And more drawer storage. Small stuff. This is good to have small stuff drawers. With the centerpiece in here. Do we need to test that?
I think we have to.
We have to? All right.
It's in the contract.
So they've got a little step here. That's nice. Just to help, old folks like us get in here. But you can jump in and push yourself off. And then, whoa, in we go. Here I am over in this one berth. This is truly king size.
Yeah.
And up here, there are little shades that'll drop down, keep the sun out, and port lights. And there are opening ports, 3 opening ports in this cabin. Plus, look at this big giant Bomar style hatch right here. Really big, and that's the solar panel on top of it. This is the head.
All right.
And it's good size. Look at the shower stall, look at the seat in the shower stall, and all this nice varnished wood, coated wood and everything, especially the doors. Look at the doors and the work that Gulfstar did on these. Those are solid doors, those are solid wood doors. Who else made solid wood doors?
Oh, Shannon?
Shannon, exactly. It's got a nice mirror. I like the mirror.
I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
There we have some, this is what we call his and hers, right? Or his and his's, or hers and hers.
Yep.
So moving forward, we have the head right here. Look at the size of that. It's got a nice molded and floor pan, drain, single sink, lots of storage. Let me get in there, see if I can fit in there all right. Gosh, I've got 6'4" headroom in here.
And with a square cabin top, it just kind of stays that height throughout.
It pretty much carries right out to the edge.
Yep.
It's got an opening port here, and nice storage areas here. I'm just going to show you the throne situation. I'm now... You had to sneak ahead, didn't you? That's the twofer.
Ta-da!
Once again, another twofer. Beautifully done doors. Look at these doors. Look at the finish on those doors. As I look around the boat, you'll see some things down here. They're a little off-putting. You see some moisture stains on the covering wood. That's a thin sheet of veneer. And this is typical of Gulfstars. And I'm not quite certain why that happens so often, but easily repaired. Here you got shower controls. I've got a drain pump right here. There's a single holding tank with a macerator on here. And that apparently worked when it went to bed. I'm going to skip into the forward cabin here for a minute. Here's the blade for your wind vane. Okay, so good place to store it. That's nice and safe. Additional storage up here. More sails, anchor line. Look at all the room in here. It has a little moisture. I think somebody left this port open here a little bit. There we go. And up we go. Up. I'll keep my feet up high. But we got another big, good-sized berth here. Give me my cushions. But we do have 2 opening port lights here. Do we? One here, one on the other side, and a good, 4 square feet of hatch practically. And there's a nice little storage area right there. Okay. What's it? Oh, I guess.
It looks like a midnight snack. I'll leave you here with Dinty.
Okay, just close my door, thanks. Okay, Randy, we came to Cape Cod today, and we found a really neat boat. This was a Gulfstar, 44-foot Gulfstar, 1982 year, I believe. To be frank, she needs some tender love and care. He's left the boat there covered for some time, thinking he's going to sell it, and it is not sold. I think this is a real bargain for the hunter out there. It's a cruising boat, but he raced it under PHRF handicap in what's known as a cruising division. She rated 152 and won a series of races all around Cape Cod here. We haven't really looked at race boats, but I like cruising boats that people like to race because that makes use of the boats. I think we should rate this boat. What do you think? We know because she floats, it gets a 10. I'm going to give it another 9. I'm taking it to a 19. In all truth and fairness here, I'm going to subtract 4 for the work that needs to be done.
Okay.
It doesn't have serious work, it just needs to be TLC'd big time. In that case, you're going to end up with a 15, but when it's finished, call me. I'm going to put it right back up to 19 or 20. Gulfstar 44, sitting down here on Cape Cod, waiting for the next owner. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when the next one comes out, please hit the alert bell. And that's not desperate at all. We're having too good a time doing these things, so you can hit the bell or not. Randy, how would I ever find out what's coming up next?
You can follow us on Instagram here,
Yeah.
or Facebook here. We'll have little previews of what's coming up on our next episodes. A little bit early.
That's pretty cool. Previews. You all join me. I'm going to Instagram right now, and I'm going to find out what's coming up next week. Thank you very much.
You know, Instagram's not a place.